Hi, I was I was listening to what you were saying, and I had a couple of things that I just wanted to note. I do think that what I got from your video was that your point in one sentence is that a pretty face does not guarantee a pretty life. And while I agree with that, I do think that there was, let's say, a wide brush, if you will, that was used to paint an entire range of people over something that I think is not as helpless as I think a lot of them would like to claim. You know, uh, being attractive, being highly attractive and resorting to prostitution, drugs, um, I would say prostitution in other forms like uh, doing pornography, being an escort, all those kinds of things, I think are not uh, as they have to be. You don't have to resort to that if you want to engage in that. Then I think we all just make choices, and I don't think that it's as easy to break away from. But I do think that it's possible, and probably a lot more possible than a lot of those guys tend to think or believe it is, and that's why they act like that's all they have. And another little tiny point was I didn't really get, if you will, why what you were saying is important. In that, I think it's valid. I think it is very accurate, and I think it applies to quite a few folks. What I don't understand is what is it that you want the the others of us to understand about their situation. For example, if they're just a hookup, why do I care about this story? I feel like we all have our stories, and yes, some people's stories are way worse than other folks' stories. I myself am a cancer survivor, so I I I get that. I know what it is to feel a sense of despair. But I think that I know that I'm also a huge advocate for personal responsibility. And in today's age, the way things are, you just don't ever have to resort to anything. So I lose quite a bit of sympathy with the folks who do resort to those things because that's what you chose to do. This ain't human trafficking. You weren't forced into slavery of the sexual sort at all. You decided to contact Coco Dorm or the slew of others to engage in this type of activity. Whether you are an escort on Craigslist, whatever it is, you voluntarily do these things. And I can understand that the money is tempting, but it takes a bit of that Oprah Iyanla, Dr. Sherry Blake type of introspective to really identify what you want to do and how you're going to get there. Because I myself believe that life is about making plans. My dad is always talking to me about this really good book called Who Moved My Cheese? And the point of this really basic book that's been around for many years is about how things are always changing. Stuff that's not in your direct control. And you have to learn how to get out of it. And I do think that a lot of people give up. I think it's amazing how many of those guys that you're talking about probably could be way more like the men we desire if they would just try. But a lot of them just don't even try. And I think it is, I'm saying in the information age, I don't think in a world that has Facebook and Google and and Bing I don't think it's necessarily as difficult as somebody wants to try to make it to find information about how to do anything, including getting a job, going to school, designing a resume, all of those things. It's possible. And you have to want it badly enough that you'll do what it takes to get it. Now that doesn't mean that you resort to some, let's say, illegal even. Just illegal is enough activities to try to get what you want. But I think to try to, I don't know, it almost came across like you were trying to excuse their activities, whatever they were, when they, as I said, they're not confined to do anything. Why not use that same fineness to get a job? Obviously, you'd look way better in a suit than the rest of us, apparently. So why not do that? Why not get a good job? Why not be up for the promotion? Why not, figure it out? Because if you were in school, if you had a some kind of, standard career job, it might really help things out. So, I mean, my point is that it doesn't have to be what I feel a lot of people make it into. And I don't think that as many of those, I wouldn't even say half. I think that the guys who really are trapped, I think that percentage is, I would say, less than a quarter. I just think, this is the United States. It's not as bad for real as I think people try to make it. Yeah, I get it, the economy, blah, blah, blah. But people aren't living in cardboard boxes, eating out of cat food cans because they don't have what they feel they need. I just wanted to make that point, and so maybe you can explain a little more into what you were trying to exactly get across, because as I said before, you kind of lost me when it comes to what the rest of us, what effect are you suggesting that the rest of us take from that? That we go on Instagram and we see, this fine dude in 80 pictures. What do you want us to do? You want us to ask him about his psychological well-being, and are you being fed? Do you have a place to stay? And all the rest of those kind of trivial things. And that's not really the point, because you on there with your paraphernalia on display. But for the record, if it matters, I am 28, be 29 in a couple of months, and I live in Atlanta, Georgia. So if you want to talk, we can talk. Thanks for listening.